So I'm here today to do a tag that I've loved for a really, really long time, and that's the Unpopular Opinions book tag. And I don't know if this is just because I really like hating on things, or I just get pleasure from people hating other things, I don't know, but I just really love to watch people talk about the things that they don't like. Because we hear about people's favorites all the time, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes I just want someone to vent at a camera for 10 minutes and me to watch it and just soak it all in. So hopefully you like to watch it too. So here goes. Question 1 is a popular book or series that you didn't like. And I could list a decent amount of relatively famous like YA series, so things like The Maze Runner or Divergent or Hunger Games. So I could list those, but I was like, that's not interesting enough. So I'm just gonna list a few. The first of which is To Kill a Mockingbird. I read this not when I was younger. I know a lot of people have read it when they were younger and they have an emotional attachment to it and it's one of their favorite books, and yeah, I feel like it shaped a lot of people's moral upbringing in a way it hadn't mine. So when I read it about less than a year ago, I just hated it. I thought it was boring. I thought, like, I didn't care about, was it Scout? Yeah, I didn't care about Scout. I don't know, I felt emotionally attached from all the characters. I felt bored. I felt like the book was trying to preach to me. I just didn't get along with it. Next is Lord of the Flies. I think this is probably my least favorite book of all time. I despise Lord of the Flies. I don't think I can even emphasize how much I hate Lord of the Flies. Aside from finding it dull and just boring as hell, but it's like everything that people claim Lord of the Rings is, with the long descriptions of trees and nature and things of the like, and then Lord of the Flies is just long descriptions of trees and nature on this island, and like little boys running around and just describing these little boys for tens of, it's so boring. And then aside from that, I just hate it. I understand that the premise of the book is that, you know, humans are fundamentally evil. Or if not evil, then primal in some sense, and so we'll resort to that if put on an island. But I don't think that, like, if you put a bunch of not even teenagers, you put a bunch of preteen boys on an island and they act kind of wild, I don't really think that's proof of humanity's innate wild nature. Anyway, and then number 2 is a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate but you love, and I don't really know of books that everyone seems to hate, aside from something like, I don't know, 50 Shades of Grey or Twilight, but even, like, I don't love those. So for this I said, first of them is A Heart Goes Last by Margaret Atwood. And this isn't my favorite Atwood, not to say that I've read all the Atwood, so I'm an expert, but I've read several of her books, maybe 4 or 5, and I really like this one. I listened to an audiobook, so to me, maybe I didn't get some of people's issues with it, because I always feel like if I listen to something, then I'm more prone to like it. And I don't really know why, but I just thought it was a kind of interesting, like, not dystopian, but kind of like dystopic story of a husband and a wife, and I thought it was interesting, and I liked that it was character focused. I don't know, I got along with it pretty well in a way that other people didn't. The other book is By Nightfall by Michael Cunningham, and it's funny that I like this book, because this is a book about a middle-aged man who has an existential crisis. And not only is he a middle-aged man, he's also a relatively pretentious middle-aged man, so he should be the kind of person who I despise. This should be the kind of book that I hate. But, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting, and I liked it. I feel like the writing of the book, for some reason, and again, I should have thought this book was pretentious and terrible, but I didn't, because, like, there were times when I would stop, because I'd be like, the book would say something kind of insightful, or there'd be some kind of analysis of human nature, and I'd read it, and I'd be like, oh, this is really cool, this is really interesting, and I'd sit and I'd think about it. So, yeah, and sometimes I think about By Nightfall, which is weird again, because it shouldn't be the kind of book that I think about, but I really liked it. And it seems to have low ratings on Goodreads, which, again, I understand, because it is a book about a middle-aged man having an existential crisis, and we're kind of tired of that. And then number 3 is a love triangle where the main character ended up with someone you didn't like, or an OTP you don't like, and I actually don't know. Like, I thought about this, and I feel like I haven't read a lot of books where I don't like who the main character ends up with. That's because in the majority of books I read now, it's just, like, there are no love triangles. Like, I don't read love triangles anymore. So if there's a love interest, then it's just, like, it's established, and then it slowly happens, and by the end, I'm always like, sure, cool, to get together, whatever. I will say that in the Hunger Games, I've always hated Peeta. That's all I'll say. I still kind of hate Peeta, not gonna lie. Moving on. Number 4 is a popular book genre that you hardly reach for. For this, romance, mystery. I think I'm more likely to pick up a romance. Probably not chick lit kind romance, but, I mean, only because I never really see the point of them, because I always feel like I can tell who's gonna end up. Like, it's not like I'm a genius, it's pretty obvious who's gonna end up with who, and then I always feel like the journey to see these characters end up together in, like, a very typical chick lit novel just really isn't worth it to me. Like, I don't find it fun. I don't know. That genre doesn't appeal to me. And then mystery, I just don't have the patience for mysteries. Like, if I become curious about what's up with a mystery, then I'll just like flip to the end because I always feel like, I don't know, with romance and mystery, they're kind of similar to me actually. I'm like, if I'm interested in the beginning, I just want to see how things end, and I don't really care about the journey, which is weird because for every other book in the world I wouldn't ever say that, but it's just for those two genres, I can't. I could skim them, but I can't actually closely read them because I'd get horribly bored. So yeah, there's that. Number 5 is a popular or beloved character that you don't like, and I have no idea. I have thought about this. I've scrolled through my Goodreads shelf. I guess I don't like Peeta, and he's kind of beloved. I guess I don't like Edward Cullen, and he's somewhat beloved. Like, but these are just like standards. I don't know. As I was thinking about this, I realized that I actually like most of the characters that I read about, and then if I don't like a character, it's less about I don't like them as a person. It's more about I hate what the author did with this character. Number 6 is a popular author that you can't get into, and Stephen King, for one. I've read a decent amount of his books, like not a lot proportionally to everything he's written, but I've read like Lacey's Story, the first book of the Dark Tower series, 11/22/63, The Long Walk. So like I've read some of his books. I have an idea what he's like, and I just can't get into them. I mean, one, because I don't like horror, which by the way I guess is another genre that I don't really reach for. But also, his books just feel dusty to me. They don't feel crisp or vivid or emotional. They just feel kind of like dead stories on a page to me, and I don't know if that's just the effect that his writing has on me or why I feel that way, but yes, I can't get into him. And there's also Neil Gaiman, who I've read, I don't even know, maybe again like 5 of his books, and I've liked, for example, Norse mythology, which I just recently read, but that was the exception to the rule, where I generally I can't get along with Neil Gaiman's writing. I don't know. There's just this level of like pretension within the writing. I don't know. It's like when you can feel a writer through the writing, so you can almost feel their voice, and you don't like that voice. Yeah, I can't even articulate it. Neil Gaiman, I just can't articulate why I don't like him, but I really just don't get along with his books. I mean, I'll probably try a few of his others out because I'm always so curious, because they're always so played up by everyone that I feel like I should read them. But yeah, I don't get along with Neil Gaiman at all. Number 7 is a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing, and so, I mean, they're the obvious. I'm tired of insta-love, love triangles, etc. But when I thought about this, the thing I really came up with isn't really a trope, but it's a flaw. And a flaw in writing, but I see this flaw often, so I'm gonna just like lump it into this category. And that's a lack of character motivation, in the sense that I hate when I'm reading a book and a character undergoes some kind of personality shift all of a sudden, and there's no given reason for that shift, or the reason feels inadequate, then I'm immediately taken out of the story. I'm immediately like looking at the mechanics of the story. I'm immediately looking at how the author screwed up in the writing of this character. And there's nothing that takes me out of a story as much as a character just not behaving in a way that makes sense. For example, I'm just finishing The Butcher's Hook by Janet Ellis, and in it, the father of the main character was a really great father to her in her childhood, and so we have some memories of him just being a wonderful father and a caring person, and really great to her, and then we see him now in the present, and he's just a cold, horrible man, and it's just, you have this shift, and there's an explanation for the shift, but the explanation is kind of bad. Like, it's not a good explanation. I don't believe the explanation, and because of that, like, my liking of the book has probably gone down like 30%, which might seem dramatic, but I just feel like if I can't trust a character's actions, then I can't trust the writer, and I can't trust the story, and it just screws up everything for me. Number 8 is a popular series that you're not interested in reading. For this, probably the Lunar Chronicles. I tried to read Cinder about a year and a half ago. I don't think I finished it. I read maybe, 50 pages or so, and I skimmed it a little bit, and I put it down because it doesn't seem like it was for me. I just wasn't interested. Like, I didn't like, the writing didn't engage me, it didn't seem interesting, and it's like, no matter how much I hear people loving the series and loving everything to do with it, I'm just not interested. I don't know. The last question asks, what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? And this goes back to Neil Gaiman, of course. To be honest, there are very few movie adaptations that I even like. So to name a few, I really like, actually I don't remember them very well, but I remember really liking the Narnia movies when they came out. But I mean, the problem with that is that I watched them when I was much younger, like as they were coming out, so I can't really trust my opinion of them, but I did remember really liking them. I'm fine with the Harry Potter movies. Yeah, like those are the only genuinely positive reactions to adaptations that I can think of. And then, yeah, so then I was thinking about that, and I was like, but I don't really like any of them more than the book. And then all of a sudden it came to me, and I'm like, Stardust! So I watched it when I was around 11, and I remember loving it. So I watched it multiple times, and I thought it was amazing, because I loved the world, and I loved the story, and I just thought it was this, like, beautiful little movie. And then I remember finding out that it was a book, and this was actually my first experience with Neil Gaiman, and I read a book and I just hated it. Like, I remember being appalled as this 11-year-old child where I was like, I didn't know that such a wonderful movie could be so spoiled by the book. Maybe I should reread Stardust. Yes, just go back to Neil Gaiman again and just see, because I remember like hating it, and I feel like it can't be that bad because people seem to love Stardust, the book, and like I hated it. So that was the Unpopular Opinions book tag. Hopefully you like this tag. Please let me know if you agree with any of the things I've said, if you don't agree with any of the things I said, if you love the things I hate, if you hate the things I love. I really love seeing your comments with the things I've discussed. For me, it's actually the most fun part of making videos, is just getting the comments. Like, so yeah. Thanks for watching and have a good day.